relic of the Cold War, whose boyish charms, though wasted on me, obviously appeal to that young woman I sent out to evaluate you.
Point taken.
Despite what we've seen so far, James Bond doesn't spend all his waking hours squiring keen young ladies and duffing up oddly shaped villains. Commander Bond has a proper day job, spying. Espionage fact or espionage fiction? General Anthony Stone, one of Britain's finest counter-espionage experts, would help me to find out how true to life Bond's spy work really is. Apparently, when the films began to appear and became so hugely popular in the 60s, there were those within the Russian intelligence services who just couldn't believe how accurate some of the information in the films were.
Good work.
Were you aware of that? Did it seem quite accurate? Did it seem like they knew what was really going on?
I think there was a degree of suspicion amongst some that there was rather more information in some of these films than was good for us all. But don't forget Fleming's background was one of mixing with people who did have a certain contact with various others, so no doubt he inserted his own bits of information as he saw fit.
After all, Bond was, in a way, a part of Ian. Ian was a man of enormous charm, tremendous physical presence. He had a great knowledge of that very strange grey world which Bond inhabited with M and all the others, the world of espionage. He knew his food and his drink. He was very attracted to women, and he also knew how to write a very good thriller, a good yarn.
I hope our work here meets with your approval.
Training is useful, but there is no substitute for experience.
I agree. We use live targets as well.
He seems fit enough. Have him report to me in Istanbul in 24 hours.
Did it make it easy for you? Was it good for morale that Bond was coming up against such evil, Weasley, low-life villains?
Oh, it was terrific, absolutely perfect. I mean, the fact that we had this ideological split between us and that the Bond film portrayed the enemies on the other side was perfect. I mean, it just kept the balance nice and it made us all feel very much on Bond's side.
What about the whole image of espionage put forward in the Bond movies as being glamorous, as exciting and full of gimmicks?
Well, I mean, I certainly don't have any first-hand experience, you know, of that. But I think, you know, there was actually quite an interesting influence of this James Bond image and James Bond stereotype on the way, for example, the KGB agents behaved, you know, because, well, I think they actually tried, maybe subconsciously, but probably consciously rather, to imitate James Bond, or rather their perception of James Bond.
Because, I don't know if you remember, you know, the whole atmosphere, say, in Moscow was that of a thriller. And you would talk in clandestine, esoteric, ciphered language to each other.
In London, April's a spring month.
Oh, yeah? And what are you, the weatherman? You're for crying out loud, another stiff-ass Brit with your secret codes and your passwords. One of these days, you guys are going to learn just to drop it.
Bond then created a whole spy phenomenon. They were everywhere.
Let me ask you about the gimmicks and the gadgets. Such a huge part of the appeal of the James Bond movies. How much of it in the films has a real-life counterpart?
Not a great deal. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of artistic license from the entertainment point of view, but there's a thread of truth and an element of realism in almost everything that goes on.
This is now being issued as standard equipment. Strap it on your wrist. It's activated by nerve impulses from the wrist muscles.
Like this? Very novel, Kira. You must get them in the stores for Christmas. Good morning, gentlemen.
There's something about gadgets that they just go wrong for me. I don't know why.
Having problems keeping it up, Q?
Experimental model.
I mean, even these damn keys that you have in hotels. You know, you don't have a proper key anymore, have this plastic thing. Well, I could never make the damn things work.
Do they ever go wrong in a way that actually is potentially harmful?
Yes, on Spy Who Loved Me, with Kurt Jurgens, when he's sitting down the end of the table. The order explodes, he's going to shoot something up a tube from one end of the table to the other. I said, I think there's more suspense. Whereas if I sit in it, then I'll leap out of the chair before it explodes.
So you got yourself into this particular...
I got it. Well, you see, the back of the chair was steel-plated to protect me from the explosion. And so I started out of the chair. And the explosion went. They went before I got out of the chair. It blew me out of the chair. And they also blew 3 holes you know where. And I was writhing around on the floor with smoke coming out of my rear end. I was on fire.